Tomorrow, members of Congress are taking a critical vote on releasing the Epstein files. And in a major reversal, President Trump now says he supports House Republicans voting to make all of those records public. Fox's Rebecca Castor has the latest now from Washington, D.C.
After months of pressure, House lawmakers will take a vote Tuesday that could ultimately force the Department of Justice to release everything it has on convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
I will be voting for it, but to be clear, I think that the American people understand that right now, everything that the Democrats have tried to say that, Trump was somehow implicated is completely false.
President Trump maintains he knew nothing about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes, despite the two of them being friends for a time. During his campaign, Trump supported releasing the Epstein files, but then flipped, calling the investigations a Democrat hoax and slamming Republicans pushing for their release. But tired of Epstein dominating the news, he's flipped again and wants Republicans to vote to release.
And I hate to see that deflect from the great job we've done. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do.
This is clearly a jujitsu move by the president in his continued cover-up of these files. He is already under a legal obligation to produce these files to Congress and has not complied with the subpoena.
With the DOJ re-examining the Epstein case, the president also wants prosecutors to take a closer look at Democrats who spent time with Epstein.
We're going to continue to find out if there's anybody responsible, anybody that hasn't been held accountable. And if they're out there, we'll find them.
Even if the House votes to release the files, it's unclear if the Senate will do the same. And ultimately, President Trump still has veto power. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
A federal judge today delivered a scathing rebuke to the Justice Department for, quote, profound investigative missteps in the case against former FBI Director James Comey. In a 24-page opinion, Judge William Fitzpatrick accused prosecutors of having an indict first, investigate later approach to the case against Comey. The judge ordered the DOJ to release all grand jury material to Comey's legal team, saying government misconduct could lead to the dismissal of charges against Comey.
All right, for more perspective, we are joined now live by Jessica Levinson, law professor at Loyola Marymount University. Professor, we appreciate the time here. Let's start with the Comey case. Federal Judge William Fitzpatrick, in this opinion, highlighted a series of what he describes as glaring mistakes and irregularities by the Justice Department. Why is the judge so concerned about the integrity of this prosecution?
I think because of all of those potential errors and because of all of the problems with the process, what you hear the magistrate judge saying is basically, I'm not sure that I can trust this indictment. I'm not sure that I can trust the grand jury process. The judge went through kind of step by step and saying, these are the things that I'm concerned about. He was concerned that Lindsay Halligan had misstated the law twice during the grand jury proceedings in ways that could have affected the grand jury vote. He was concerned about the idea that there was this gap in the transcript, a gap of time, and I think that was causing him some credibility concerns. And there were also concerns that some of the information that was used by the government was in fact privileged, was covered by attorney-client privilege. And so all of those things, those are very serious accusations. He found that there was some facts behind those accusations, and all of that would mean that this just isn't a process that we can have faith in.
Yeah, he also kind of took issue with acting U.S. Attorney Lindsay Halligan, former President Trump's personal attorney, pointing out that she has no prosecutorial experience.
Well, that's right. I mean, we know the background here is that Lindsay Halligan's predecessor, Eric Siebert, was unwilling to, reporting indicates, unwilling to bring this case and the case against Letitia James. Lindsay Halligan, who has not previously served as a state or federal prosecutor, was then appointed to this interim position. As you know, there's a parallel case right now where the question is whether or not she was validly appointed to this position. If she wasn't, then that could also threaten this indictment. So there's two, frankly, big legal questions looming. And if either one of them is answered to them positive, meaning there's a problem here, that could really doom the indictment against James Comey.
All right, we'll see how that case continues to play out. In the meantime, let's shift here and talk about the ongoing fight over releasing the Jeffrey Epstein files. We know the House tomorrow taking this long-awaited vote and a really critical vote on releasing those files. And now today we have President Trump in this major reversal saying that he supports House Republicans voting in favor of releasing the files. But it sort of begs the question, if the president is in favor of the files seeing the light of day, couldn't he release them right now at this moment?
So he could ask the Department of Justice to release. I think what we should note here is that there are still questions about, even if, quote unquote, everything is released, what could still be redacted. I mean, there have been questions about, even if some information, for instance, related to the congressional investigation, some information related to the Department of Justice, there are different buckets of information, and depending what's released, you might see paper, but a lot of that paper might have black on it. And so what people are really interested in, the so-called client lists, may still not see the light of day.
Yeah, there are questions about what, if any, new information would be released as part of this bill if it, in fact, passes. But the idea that you have more GOP senators now coming on board, now that the president has sort of given his approval of the release of the bill, do you see any legal changes to what's in the bill and what actually might be released?
So it's moving really quickly. I would say at this point, it sounds like what's really happening is that the political pressure became potentially untenable, and that the calculus was that it's better to be in favor of transparency. To your question as to how much we actually see, I think we have to be really careful about exactly what you just asked, which is what ends up being in the final bill. What does the Department of Justice actually release? And again, back to our previous conversation, what is redacted? And of course, the big question here is there anything new that the American public learns?
Yeah, I mean, that is the question. I mean, what is your sense on this? Obviously, we've seen, a couple of the emails released by Democrats in Congress, and then we saw 20,000 or so emails released by Republicans shortly thereafter. How much more do we expect there is?
So the answer is we really don't know, and that's why there's been this push to say release, release, release. Again, I think there's a good chance that maybe this doesn't change the narrative. I do think it's, of course, important to remember that Jeffrey Epstein was charged, Ghislaine Maxwell was charged and convicted of federal crimes, and there has not previously been an investigation into a lot of the politicians and elected officials that people are looking at to see, did they do something wrong? Let's remember, a lot of people investigated this case for a long time. That's not to say that voters need to be fine with moral decisions. It's to say that even if we learn a lot more, I don't expect there to be new federal charges that are brought against people.
All right, something that we'll be keeping a close eye, that vote expected to happen tomorrow. Jessica Levinson, always appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.